What is going on, 12s? I am absolutely fired up today because we have some massive news regarding our backfield that could change everything for our opening game. There is a recovery situation unfolding right now that honestly feels like a miracle, and the latest updates on our star running back have the entire organization buzzing with anticipation. Will we see him back on the field sooner than anyone dared to imagine? You need to stick with me to understand what this means for our rotation. Before we dive in, help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers and show your true Seahawks passion. Running back Zach Charbonnet finds himself at the center of a critical recovery timeline for the Seattle Seahawks as he works toward a return from an ACL injury. Nearly 5 months have passed since he sustained the tear during the divisional round victory against the San Francisco 49ers. Although the team secured a Super Bowl win just 3 weeks after that game, the long-term status of Zach Charbonnet immediately became a subject of significant concern for the upcoming 2026 season. Surgery was performed on February 20th, setting a standard medical recovery trajectory that usually spans at least 9 months, which would typically sideline a player until October or November. However, Zach Charbonnet has been aggressive throughout his rehabilitation process, showing a level of progress that has garnered direct attention from the coaching staff. Head coach Mike Macdonald has publicly acknowledged the running back's work, noting that he is performing at a high level while adhering to the expected intensity of his schedule. The recovery process is inherently demanding, yet the internal outlook remains focused on his daily improvements. Because of this dedication, there is a legitimate conversation regarding whether Zach Charbonnet could be active for the season opener. The team is moving forward with a measured approach, prioritizing his long-term health while monitoring how his body responds to the increased physical demands of training. As the roster continues to take shape, the situation regarding his availability remains a primary storyline for the franchise. The focus on his return to the field highlights his importance, and the organization is watching his every move during this period. Go Hawks! This situation defines the current uncertainty surrounding the backfield as everyone waits to see how he manages the next steps of his intensive recovery program. The possibility of Zach Charbonnet being available for Week 1 against the New England Patriots on September 9th is no longer being treated as a complete impossibility. Head coach Mike Macdonald recently addressed the media, stating clearly that everything is possible regarding his return to the 53-man roster. While most ACL rehabilitations are projected to last until late autumn, Zach Charbonnet is currently outperforming those traditional benchmarks. This development is essential because the team needs to determine the composition of its backfield before the season officially begins. Macdonald noted that he understands the running back has set high expectations for himself, which is influencing the speed of his daily rehabilitation sessions. By maintaining this pace, Zach Charbonnet is actively keeping himself in the conversation for an early return, despite the medical history associated with his injury. The team is not forcing a timeline, but they are observing the results of his efforts with great interest. The prospect of him suiting up in early September represents a major shift from the initial expectations set back in February. However, the coaching staff is balancing this optimism with the reality of the recovery process, ensuring that he does not rush back before he is physically prepared to handle the hits of a professional game. The upcoming weeks will be telling as the intensity of his workouts ramps up, providing a clearer picture of his functional capabilities. Whether or not he hits that specific target date of September 9th, his commitment to the recovery process is evident. The Seahawks are closely evaluating his progress, acknowledging that having him back sooner would certainly alter the dynamic of the offensive rotation, provided he continues to meet every medical milestone required for full participation. Why does this matter right now for the Seattle Seahawks? The health of Zach Charbonnet directly impacts the overall structure of the offensive unit and the distribution of carries for the 2026 season. Because the team invested a first-round pick in Notre Dame running back Jadarian Price, the depth chart is currently in a state of flux. If Zach Charbonnet is healthy enough to participate in Week 1, he will compete for significant reps, but his physical status will ultimately dictate the workload balance between him and his teammate. Jadarian Price is expected to factor into first-team repetitions, and his role is heavily dependent on how quickly the coaching staff can integrate Zach Charbonnet back into the game plan. The decision regarding who carries the primary load depends on the medical clearance of the veteran back. Furthermore, this situation is vital because Zach Charbonnet is entering a contract year, as he is set to become a free agent at the end of the season. Balancing his desire to return and prove his value with the need to avoid another major injury is a delicate operation for both the player and the front office. Rushing back could have long-term implications for his career, which is why the team remains patient. The presence of Jadarian Price gives the coaching staff the luxury of not needing to force Zach Charbonnet onto the field before he is ready. This internal dynamic ensures that the team can manage his return carefully, even while the competition for snaps naturally intensifies. The efficiency of the ground attack depends on the health of these two players, making the monitoring of this specific recovery a cornerstone of the team's current operational strategy heading into the month of September. The recovery path for Zach Charbonnet serves as a case study in how the team is managing its offensive assets, while simultaneously looking toward future roster decisions. Although his ambition is evident to everyone within the organization, the reality is that the season is still several months away, allowing for a strategic approach to his eventual return. The fact that Zach Charbonnet is in a favorable position in his rehabilitation timeline is considered a welcome sign, providing the staff with more options than they initially anticipated following his February surgery. Macdonald has been careful not to place undue pressure on the player, emphasizing that the team is looking forward to seeing where the situation ends up as the weeks progress. This cautious optimism is a calculated response to the physical recovery benchmarks that must be satisfied. By staying on the right track, Zach Charbonnet is ensuring he remains a focal point of the team's offensive planning, regardless of when he takes his first snap. The management of his reps and his exposure to contact will be the final hurdles, and the team is committed to taking things one day at a time. The involvement of Jadarian Price in early workouts allows the Seahawks to maintain a high level of intensity during practice without relying solely on the return of their injured player. This structure is intended to maximize the preparation of the entire group while keeping the specific needs of Zach Charbonnet at the forefront of their planning. Every update regarding his agility, strength, and confidence during drills is being measured against the requirements of the upcoming games, ensuring that when he does return, he is capable of performing at the necessary level for the offensive scheme to function effectively. Moving forward, the primary objective for Zach Charbonnet and the Seahawks is to maintain the consistency of his rehabilitation without suffering any setbacks. The team has consistently expressed that he is on the right path, but they are also cognizant of the dangers inherent in returning from a knee surgery of this nature. Because he is approaching free agency, the importance of this season cannot be overstated, both for the organization and for his own career trajectory. The team's choice to select Jadarian Price provides a necessary safeguard, ensuring that the ground game remains productive, even if the recovery takes longer than the most optimistic projections. Macdonald and his staff will continue to evaluate the performance of the entire backfield as the training camp sessions unfold. Zach Charbonnet remains focused on meeting his high personal standards, pushing himself during his recovery sessions under the supervision of the medical staff. The dialogue between the coaching staff and the running back remains open, with both parties prioritizing a sustainable return to full health. As they continue to navigate the schedule, the goal is to have the roster as healthy as possible for the start of the season. If Zach Charbonnet can maintain his current pace, he will be in a position to contribute, but the specific role he plays will be determined by his performance in the coming months. The situation is being managed with professional care, focusing entirely on the physical readiness of the player. By taking a day-by-day approach, the organization is avoiding the pitfalls of setting a rigid deadline that could compromise the long-term health of the running back, ultimately ensuring that when he returns, he is fully integrated into the team's plans for the 2026 season.